What's good, Panther Nation? It's your boy Myron McRae, aka Tornado McRae, across the skies of the internet, here with another episode of Panther Pride TV, your one-stop shop for all your Panther notifications and your Panther obligations. And happy Wednesday to all you guys, girls, theys, thems, and everything in between. Hope y'all are having a fantastic Wednesday. Love you. Hope everything is going smooth. And so we are going to get into today's docket because there are a few things that have crossed my threshold, and I need to talk to you about it. So first thing is, Pat McAfee actually says, as Carolina fans, we should be excited right now. We should actually be happy with what's going on in the organization. And here's the reason why. He was speaking on the latest episode of the Panthers Blueprint, like the Blueprint episodes that have been coming out for their behind-the-scenes look at the draft. And he was talking about the most recent episode they dropped in regards to the Panthers and the story behind getting T-Mac at the 8th overall pick, at least in that section of the episode. I know it talks about a whole lot more, but that was one main focus in the episode. And for those of you who may not have seen it or everything, should watch it. It's a great little deep dive. Here's just kind of the highlight of that segment. So, highlighting the segment. So the segment he was talking about in particular was when Brant Tillis, the exec VP of football operations, Dan Morgan in the front office, are all in the draft room, potentially talking about trading with the LA Rams to slide back from the 8th overall pick to the 26th overall pick. Now, in the clip, Tillis and Morgan especially, they're just discussing their options because they know what they want to do. Tillis even says, he's like, yo, I'm honestly just antsy at this point. I just want to make a move. He's like, I want to move up. I want to move back. He didn't like just sitting still. He just wanted to do something. And they kind of knew where they were going. It was either get T-Mac at 8 or, you know what, we need a monster haul of assets to justify sliding that far back, which I mean, hey, I'm with that. I am 100% behind that logic. And so Dan Morgan lets everybody know that he did offer a trade up to the Rams prior to the draft of just like, hey, if you want to make a deal, if you want to do something, this is what we're going to do. This is the trade that we want in order for us to do this deal. So it was like, hey, Dan just put it out on the line. Big boy moves. Just saying, you know what, hey, this is what we're going to do, and I actually do like that. So when they're on the clock, you have the Rams call Carolina. Now, when they call them, they make an offer. However, it's not the exact offer that Dan had originally talked about. So Tillis is kind of just taking it in. He's talking with Dan, and they're kind of just mulling it over like, hey, yo, this isn't what we offered, right? Like, this is what you would have took, right? He's like, yeah. And as they're going back and forth, they get to the point where they even look to David Tepper kind of for guidance. And Tepper, being the owner that we've all kind of asked him to be, he doesn't say anything. He kind of just takes a step back and just looks and just letting them make the decision, do what they want. But then they also can over to Dave Canales. Like, Canales is he's just fidgeting because he wants T-Mac. He's trying to figure out what they about to do. You can kind of tell he just wants T-Mac. And so then Tillis gets back on the phone with him after talking to Morgan some more. And he's like, yo, this is what we're doing. He's like, I sent him the offer. That's what we're going with. That's the offer we go with. Tillis tells him, hey, LA, if you want this trade, go back with the trade that Dan originally posed. If you don't like what Dan Morgan originally posed, then you just don't like it and we ain't got to do a trade. The Rams say they'll take some minutes. They'll take a second. They talk about it. And then immediately they're just like, yeah, nah, we're pulling out of the trade. As soon as they pull out of the trade, Dan Morgan immediately says, go get T-Mac right now. Easy as peasy. So that is what Pat McAfee is responding to when I'm about to read you this quote. And here's what he had to say about the situation. He says, the Carolina Panthers released some draft footage that was spectacular. What I saw out of that video was a lot of things. Brant Tillis, excuse me, y'all. Brant Tillis, the executive VP of football ops, has a lot of say, and it's very chatty. Morgan, the general manager, there is consulting with them throughout the entirety of it. I think they were waiting on a full haul. If they're going to offer us something we can't refuse, we'll do this, but instead, let's get T-Mac. And he followed it up. The second half of his quote is, what I noticed, though, at one point, they looked at Tepper to get an answer. Tepper didn't say ish. All anybody has had to say about Tepper is that he's hands-on, too handsy, too involved. He's not letting the football people do their thing. We just watched the biggest moment for their franchise, a top 10 pick. He just sat there and let everybody do their jobs. I think if you're a Panthers fan, you love everything you saw there. And honestly, I think Pat's right. I can 100% agree with what Pat McAfee is saying there because, one, let's be real. As fans, a lot of us have called for David Tepper not to be the owner. I'm going to be 100% candid and honest. I know Tepper's heard it. A lot of us have called for him not to be the owner. But if he is going to be the owner, we also want him hands off and just let football be football. You hired these people to do their job for a reason. So let them do their job. And let them do their thing. So now you have David Tepper, who's finally taking a step back, let Morgan and Tillis and Canales and everybody else who really has the input for the team put in their input and make the decision that's best for the team. And I like that. I like that they're all on one accord. Now, also, I personally love the fact that they were like not compromising. They said, nah, if we going for that big of a slide, you better give us everything because we know the move this franchise made just to go from 8 to 1. You want us to go from 8 to 26? Oh, nah, you're going to have to come up off that. So I love that as a franchise. I love that moving forward. And personally, I agree with Pat McAfee. I genuinely like that. I see it as a big moment and a good step forward for the organization. Next thing we do got to talk about, as much as I don't want to say it, as much as I hate to see it, guys, we got another offensive weapon that's been sidelined with injury. I don't like it. But, guys, Jimmy Horn Jr. has been sidelined with a hamstring injury, and it was announced by Coach Canales. But the thing about it is it's not that crazy. It's not a huge injury. It's not like one that's going to be weeks or months, apparently, or longer. But knowing he is a receiver, you don't want to see this injury. But here's what Coach Canales had to say. Coach said, we're just rehabbing him. He's in return to play, and then as soon as we feel he's ready to get back out there, we'll bring him out. Jimmy gives us a lot of options. There's some perimeter things we can do with him, the jet sweep game, but then also, like just from his college film, he's a receiver first and foremost. He can stretch the field, he can separate, and he's got a lot of energy and passion he plays with. So he's going to give himself a great chance to help us. I firmly believe that. I'm with that too. I think Jimmy Horn is going to be that guy that can help in a lot of different ways. I think he and Coker, I think those two are going to be a great duo alongside with Thielen, T-Mac, as well as Liggett. But I hate that right now Jimmy Horn is hurt because even if you look on the ESPN depth chart right now on ESPN.com, he's listed as the number one punt returner. He's listed as the prime punt returner right now. So that's kind of wild. Not even wild. I just think it's funny, and I think it's great for him, but I hate that he's injured. I hate when anybody gets injured, to be honest. It's just not fun. It's not good for the game. But, Jimmy, we wish you a speedy recovery, man. Hopefully it ain't nothing crazy. Hopefully you're just taking a couple days just to make sure he's stretched out because at the end of the day, I'd rather him take the weeks off now to make sure his hamstring's good than this happen in the middle of the season. That's just me. I don't think that needs to be said. And lastly, Nick Wright. And this outdated response that I've seen. So I'm going to be the first to admit more times than not, I don't enjoy or don't necessarily agree with what Nick Wright says. For those of you who don't know, he is a Fox Sports football analyst. He's been on ESPN, First Take, a bunch of Sports Center shows like that a lot of time. And he's on the show First Things First. More times than not, I think Nick Wright has bad takes. Like, I honestly do. And it just seemed very, like, lost in the sauce at times. And this old take that he brought up, I don't like. So, on the show First Things First, Nick Wright was asked if he was buying into the potential of the Carolina Panthers winning the NFC South this year, yes or no. Here's what Nick Wright had to say. He said, absolutely not winning the division, and Bryce is discussed in far more charitable terms than most number one overall picks would be. I think because people felt badly about how out of sorts he looked immediately, and that it did seem like it was due to something he can't control, which is his size. Because of that, nobody feels good ripping Bryce Young, but I think he is too small to be an above-average NFL quarterback. I think there are going to be some natural limitations. He followed it up to say this. I think he may be able to have small little pockets of high-level football, but over the course of the entirety of last season, I think he had a 81 rating. Like, he was really bad before the benching. I'm glad he had the month or month and a half he had to end of last year because it bought him a year. No question about it, to prove he can be the guy. But I believe it's more likely the Panthers are in quarterback business next offseason and that they are in the playoffs this season. Oh, Nick Wright. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how you get paid for your commentary. I don't know how you made it this far. I genuinely don't. But you know what? That's your opinion. You could have it. Do I think it's necessarily right? No. No, not at all. And I'm tired of the too small talk, bro. I genuinely hate the too small talk more than anything. One, you don't think we're going to win the division. Absolutely not. Listen, we know New Orleans ain't there. We know the only two teams we got to go against that to compete for the division are Tampa Bay and Atlanta. And what's crazy is those games are a whole lot closer than you want to anticipate. So to say that we can't win the division, wild in my opinion. But I hate the too small take even more so because being short and small isn't the issue here. We've seen numerous quarterbacks who are considered short or small for the quarterback position be successful. Oh, you don't know? All right, let's take a look at him. Kyler Murray. He's the same height as Bryce. Man's thrown for 3,700 yards and 20 TDs in 4 of his last 6 years. Russell Wilson, 1 inch taller than Bryce. Super Bowl champ, 10-time Pro Bowler. Drew Brees, 2 inches taller. Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP, and second all-time in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Michael Vick, one of the most electrifying players ever to play the game, only 2 inches taller than Bryce. 22,000 pass yards and over 6,000 rush yards, which is second all-time for a quarterback. And then at 6'1", just 3 inches taller than Bryce. Jalen Hurts, your reigning Super Bowl champ and Super Bowl MVP, 2-time Pro Bowler. A guy within the division, Baker Mayfield, a 2-time Pro Bowler, former Rookie of the Year and Most Improved Player of the Year. So Nick Wright, get out of here with the too small talk. What are we talking about here? I honestly have not seen more people. I have not seen a quarterback get ripped since the year 2000. Since the year 2000, the only quarterback I have seen get ripped to shreds by the media about his play, about his size, and anything else in between in his first 2 years in the NFL is Jamarcus Russell. That is the only quarterback I have seen get ripped more than Bryce Young. Y'all have been tearing him to shreds since he came to Carolina. And you want to sit there and say, oh, well, you don't want to say it's things about his control and his height. No, it's about the offense. It's literally about the pieces that were put in front of him. It's literally about how disheveled this organization was. And guess what? When Bryce has played bad, Like, just from a regular football standpoint, I've even criticized Bryce and be like, okay, you can't do that. Like, there are definitely some plays that are on Bryce where it's like, yo, you can't make that pass or you can't do X, Y, and Z. But it wasn't because he was too small. He just made a bad quarterback play. That's neither here nor there. A lot of Panthers fans have ripped him just for bad quarterback play, not because he's too small. But yes, there is a portion of you that do it just because he's too small, which is weird. Which is weird because we're seeing you don't have to be a 6'5", 6'6" quarterback to be successful here. I don't get why this happens because y'all didn't. When it comes to quarterbacks in their first 2 years, y'all never ripped Eli like that. You never ripped Cam like that. You never ripped Sam Bradford like that. Never ripped Andrew Luck like that. You never, and I'm going over the number 1 draft picks. Burrow never got ripped like that. Caleb Williams, y'all don't rip like that. Y'all definitely already, y'all hyped up Cam Ward, and Cam Ward didn't even play the game, and y'all saying he's better than Bryce already. So what are we talking about? You're saying he's getting put in more charitable terms and getting put in charitable, like he's been treated more favorable than number 1 draft pick should be. Since the year 2000, name me a person that's gotten ripped more in their first 2 years in the NFL than Bryce Young. Again, the only answer I can give you is Jamarcus Russell. And guess what? Jamarcus earned that. Jamarcus wasn't watching film. Jamarcus came 300 pounds like a linebacker when he was a quarterback. Not even a linebacker, a lineman. Jamarcus earned that criticism and all the hate he got. Bryce has not earned nearly half the hate because half of y'all hate the fact that he's successful, but he's not conventional. Bryce is unconventionally short for what y'all are known, what y'all assume quarterback should be. Y'all assume the quarterback needs to be 6'5" or whatever, and they'll be great. No. I don't care. As long as you get the job done. Drew Brees was known to be short. One of the most prolific passers of all time. Michael Vick, short for a quarterback. One of the most electrifying players of all time. Baker Mayfield has seen a resurgence in his career, and now y'all want to say he's Pro Bowl, All-Pro, second team All-Pro. Russell Wilson. Yeah, I know the last few years of his career haven't been great, but in his prime, Russell Wilson was in MVP talks. Kyler Murray, y'all tried to get on him about his height coming in, but this man is quietly putting up 3,700 a year. So shut the small talk up. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. And quite frankly, it's outdated. If you want to say Bryce isn't making the right passes, cool. But to sit there and say he hasn't getting a pass and people talk about him in a more charitable light, they don't. I don't know what circles you have been in, but they don't. People have ripped Bryce to shreds. Have people talked about Bryce not making the right pass? Yes. Come on now. Y'all literally benched the kid. The kid got benched. And everybody was saying, well, his career's over. That has nothing to do with his height. That just had to do with quarterback play. So, I say all that to say this. This is another reason why I don't like Nick Wright. Because I genuinely think this is a take in bad faith because you just don't like how Bryce Young moves. And when Carolina makes the playoffs, when Carolina wins the division, I want to come back to this video and I want Nick Wright to eat his words. That's another one we're putting on the list, guys. Another one to put on the list for an apology when it's all said and done. But that's it of today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this one, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell at the bottom so you can always be notified for when these videos drop. And comment below, what do y'all think about Pat McAfee's thoughts saying we should be excited right now based off of the Blueprint episode? Are y'all concerned with does Jimmy Horn's hamstring injury concern y'all, or are you cool with it? And lastly, what are your thoughts on Nick Wright and how he feels about Carolina and Bryce Young going forward and what he had to say and everything in between? And do you think that Bryce Young's height is going to be the reason why he's not successful. And let me know all that, because at the end of the day, what do I know? I'm just a skinny brother with two tats. Peace. What's on all you Panther Nation? Take care. Later days. And as always, keep pounding. I'll see you next time.